Hi. Hi, I'm Bruce Slayton. Many of you guys know me here in Elk Grove. Where I've been for the last year, I took this last year off and decided to pursue my purpose. My purpose has a lot of passions. Um, what I want to tell you today is, I started out angry today, just as much as I did with the whole Confederate flag removing our history symbols. And I think actually I've gotten over it. I got past the anger. The reality is you don't know what you don't know. And um, you meet my friends here. I'm a very creative person, so you'll see in the future what I was actually planning the last year was actually a lot of great pursuing my passions. Because a lot of you guys don't know who I am. So I'm actually taking that first leap today. Oprah said on Sunday about pursuing your passion and how hard it is. Well, it is what it is. Uncut, unbridled, unscripted. So the one thing that we've lost light of, I guess, in our lives is family. Everybody's so attached to being right. Everybody's so attached to being right that they're all wrong. Um, when we talk about politics, you have the left and you have the right. We've been battling back and forth on the left and the right. Neither one of them actually is right, and everybody's just left. So, what you don't know is I got my minister's license in 2010. Not that I actually want to be a minister, just because I've been ministering for a long time. Ministering really is just listening and trying to solve people's problems. Many of you guys know me from the real estate field. You don't know I create a toy store for my kids, so my wife gets to home and raise them called J&J Toys and Gifts. I got opportunities every single time they're in front of me, and I believe those were God, a higher being. Could be Allah, could be Muhammad, could be a bear somewhere. Who cares? The reality is that I believe in a higher power because you never needed God to do good. And so the last year, that's exactly what I've done. See, whenever I feel like I'm not all that hype, I go and do good things for other people. I did that this last year on steroids. And unfortunately, some people push back pretty hard. And the Bible says forgive, but you still be held accountable. So I forgive everybody. I'm past the anger. But now it's my explanation. See, I created something called PiTe, participation in the equation. Participation in the education. There's power in the education. Power in the equality. Equality goes either way. Equality is for black Americans, white Americans, brown Americans, green Americans, and even blue ones. The reality is choose the color, the sex you want to be, but yet it's equal for everybody. So let's talk about the flag for one moment. The Confederate flag itself represents individual states' rights, not slavery. Facts are blacks own blacks, blacks own Indians, black own whites. So there's a meeting in the middle because that's actually what I created. I created the ministry of moderation, the ministry of the middle. Sometimes, what they say is it's not about him or her. Sometimes the truth's in the middle, and there is. Let's talk about the flag for a minute. I think there's actually a good way to actually explain it, but this bill is not a good bill at all. The reality is number one is the Confederate flag that you guys have is not actually the Confederate flag that was flown during the Civil War, during the Confederate. That would actually be the Stars and Stripes, and that would actually be Bonnie Blue. So you guys got the wrong flag. That flag actually was just the rebel flag, and the reality is it did represent slavery, and not just slavery. It represented actually bigotry, and it was actually flown 100 years later, I think in 1940, in response to I think Johnson and the Civil Rights Movement. So you might want to do some research into that one. But this right here does not set a good example. Number one is we need to get past the hate. We need to get past the disenfranchising other people. And then the other thing, too, is this doesn't set a really good standard. Because if you actually go through with the original South problems, you're going to have these problems in California. You guys are adopting problems for something that's in the South. And the reality is California, we're pretty integrated. We're pretty blended. I'm pretty proud of where we're at. You just basically create hate by what you've done. And so we need to withdraw this bill and apologize to our kids because this is our futures we're screwing around with. The problem with this was Steve Glazer and Jim Cooper. You guys aren't setting a good education for politicians, example about education for politicians in our education system. The problem is you're setting a bad precedence. See, you forgot, if you want to say that flag actually represents hate, what you don't realize is those Confederate soldiers were recognized as veterans by Congress. So you just did a hate crime against Congress. Against a veteran. And I really don't like people who mess with veterans. They're our patriotism. They're the reason why we're here today. Second of all, probably want to do some DNA testing to find out you guys we're so blended in history, probably all related no matter what. There's a little black and white in all of us. That's the beauty of it. See, I have this theory that blue is cool, black is better, and blended is best. So I think the future and what Martin Luther King actually believed in, he's an influencer for me, is that you weren't judged by the color of your skin, you were judged by the character within. And the reality is that's not good character, gentlemen. Withdraw it and make your mistakes. Because if you use that precedence, the American flag needs to be taken down. See, what you're forgetting is all of the atrocities and continued against the American Native Indians, who actually we've taken their land and we still have not paid them for it. And not even that, but you spit on the Japanese community, who have not spoken up, and so I'll be their advocate. The Japanese internment camps not only were an example of the United States at its worst, they're an example of propaganda, they're an example of hate, and the reality is if you want to go further than that, Mr. Cooper, you're actually a Democrat, and I know you're a good man. You and your brother are good men. I respect you both. I know we can work on this together. Set an example for everybody. If you actually want to talk about what represents hate, the Democratic Party that actually has exemplified hate. They've done so much against the black community in history. You should check the history. In fact, I posted it at BruceSlayton.com on my Facebook under the Blue Jews political group. If you think Blue Jew is actually anti-Semitic, the reality is no, it's not. If you believe in Jesus, Jesus was a Jew, so therefore we're all Jew. Number two is I like blue. You all know I like blue. So the reality is let's stop actually being so politically correct and just start being correct. And so I'm taking that first leap. I'm not attached to you guys actually thinking that I'm right or wrong. The reality is, the last year I've actually done what I was supposed to do. I'm pursuing my purpose and my passions. So I'm not attached to being right, but neither are you guys actually being right. Politically correct doesn't make you right. It makes you actually completely wrong. But the reality is I believe in moderation in everything. I believe everything exists for a reason. It's just in moderation. So we've tried the left and we've tried the right. We've tried liberal, we've tried conservative, tried my way now. Tried moderation. All right, for now, onward with peace, passion, and prosperity.